Almost 1 year later, and with some patches, new features and updates, I thought of going back to the game Sifu to see how it stacks up at the end of 2022 and if it's still worth playing or not. What's up everyone and welcome to a new video. My name is Omar with Real Gamer Review, and today we are reviewing Sifu almost 1 year after being released. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing and liking the video and turn on the bell icon to see more videos like this one. Without further ado, let's get right into it. Sifu is a beat-em-up video game developed and published by French studio Slow Clap. Set in modern-day China, players control the child of a martial arts school's Sifu, who seeks revenge on those responsible for their father's death. The game is played from a third-person perspective. It begins with a similar premise to a lot of revenge-fueled martial arts stories, with a murder. Your father, a martial arts master, is killed right before your eyes, and you set on during the actual campaign to seek revenge from the people responsible. You actually get to play this part of the story through the game prologue. It is a mix between giving you the background for the story, and it serves as well as a tutorial for the game. And it also gives you a small taste of skills and moves that you can unlock later on in the game as well. The story is simple, but it is well executed. You start each level with small pieces of information about one of the people involved in your father's murder, and during the level till reaching the boss in the end, you collect clues and evidence which are added to a cool-like detective board every time you find any. It is also interesting to find those clues, as some of them open some doors that can lead you to new entire sections in each level. This game actually consists of 5 long levels, each one ending with a boss. I would say this game has one of the best fighting mechanics that I've encountered in the past few years, besides of course the great collection of Batman Arkham games. The game is mainly inspired by Bak Mi Kung Fu and includes over 150 unique attacks. Basic attack moves can be connected together, as some combos may give you as a player additional tactical opportunities, such as being able to knock down enemies, throwing them in multiple directions, or simply stunning them. The main character and all enemies have a structural gauge. When the gauge is completely filled, the guard of these characters will break and they will become vulnerable to finishing attacks. You can also block strikes, though this will gradually fill your gauge meter as well. Alternatively, you can evade or parry attacks when an enemy is about to land a punch or a kick. A successful parry will allow you to stun or throw the enemy. The game allows players to take advantage of the environment and improvise new attacks or alter their strategy when facing a stronger opponent. For example, you may kick an enemy off a ledge or utilize various objects as makeshift weapons. Definitely a good addition, but I think it could have been a bit better, because I can't help myself from comparing this game to another great martial arts game, which is Sleeping Dogs. By the way, this game as well had one of the best fighting mechanics in video games, if you ask me. And I think it utilized objects in the environment to use in combat slightly better than Sifu. But still, I wouldn't consider that as a deal breaker. Also, some enemies in a combat section may sometimes enter a state of uncontrolled frenzy, making them become like a mini-boss. Occasionally, the player may be presented with dialogue options, which can enable them to potentially avoid combat altogether depending on their choice of words. Coming to the fun and unique part of the gameplay. When your character dies at any given point in the game, they are magically resurrected at the spot where they died and age several years. It usually begins with aging 1 year only and starts increasing gradually. The aging counter depends also on the difficulty you choose to play the game on. As the character ages, their strikes will become more powerful, but at the same time they will have less health. Eventually, when you reach a certain age, it will no longer be possible to revive, and the next death will be the end of the game. Along each level, you will encounter shrines as well, which will be the place where you can heal and unlock new skills. A thing to be aware of is that the abilities you unlock are lost when the character fully dies, though it is possible to permanently unlock upgrades so that they are available at the beginning of each run. And as I mentioned before, if you complete multiple runs, the information collected across different runs will be stored on the detective board, and secret areas and shortcuts may open up depending on the clues and keys you've collected. Another thing worth mentioning, for the bosses at the end of each level, there is an option to spare them, which will unlock different achievements depending on the platform you are playing the game on. Throughout the past few months, the developers released a few patches and updates. The very recent one was particularly interesting as it added some features like Wuguan School, a kung fu school to practice your skills in between levels. A pretty cool replay editor. Given you having enough patience and creativity, you can make some pretty cool movie-like clips with it. Some new outfits as well, although unfortunately some of them are exclusive to the deluxe edition of the game. A few new gameplay modifiers, like for example a modifier called Vampire, which decreases your age by killing enemies, another one called Touch of Death, which makes enemies die on the first hit, and a few more. I would say that the only issues that was slightly annoying is the camera, as it sometimes gets squeezed in the corner and makes it hard to see what's coming. And also the animation for the main character when surrounded with multiple enemies. It always looks like he is only focused on the enemy in front of him and a bit unaware of the other surrounding enemies. Other than those two minor issues, overall I would say that the gameplay in this game is very unique and enjoyable. Coming to the graphics and visuals part, Sifu didn't go the main route that other games take of trying to have all the bells and whistles of what visual technology has to offer. Instead, they went to a more of an artistic style that has a bit of a comics vibe. The game runs at 4K with 60 frames per second on both PS5 and PS4 Pro. As for the base PS4, it runs at 1080p with 60 frames per second as well, but of course the PS5 has the advantage as it looks a bit better when it comes to the textures, shadows, loading speeds, and some visual details. And of course with PC coming on top when it comes to the visual quality, given that you have a high-end PC. The game was also released recently to Nintendo Switch, running at 720p resolution with 30 frames per second, which makes sense compared to the handheld console capabilities. I didn't play the game on Switch, but I'm not sure how good the game will be at 30 frames per second. Coming to the music and audio part, I wouldn't say that this game has something out of this world when it comes to the audio effects for the combat and weapons. I would say it is decent. As for the music, the game definitely has a few nice music tracks, especially during the intro. Nothing extra special as well in my opinion, but as always I'll leave you with a few clips to judge it yourselves.
Be careful!
Okay, let's do this.
No freaking way!
Although the game might feel a bit repetitive after a good number of runs, but despite that, still Sifu offers a very unique experience that you will definitely enjoy on your first few runs. Developer Slowclap created a pretty good action beat-em-up game. If you haven't played Sifu before and you are looking for a light, fun action beat-em-up game that doesn't require a lot of thinking, I would definitely recommend this game for you. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon to watch more videos like this one.